Hello everyone, this is Maya Zahira with Psychic Protection Sanctuary, and we are now live in our Psychic Protection Sanctuary Facebook group. This is our monthly Facebook Live where I teach a free class for all of you in the group, and as always this Facebook Live is then uploaded to YouTube. So give me a second, I just need to fix something over here. Okay, so as usual, go ahead and say hello. Let us know where you are joining from. We already have some people joining live. Excuse me. Today's topic is 7 types of etheric implants and how they impact you. So you may or may not already be aware of what etheric implants are. Or you may be like, I don't even know what that is. That's fine. This is for everybody. And I'm going to be going over exactly what they are and the 7 types. So this is actually information that I've directly brought in. Just in case you don't know this about me, there's a lot of information out there that is being regurgitated about psychic protection and about various other spiritual topics. And really probably this happens in any field out there in the world, that people just like research and then regurgitate whatever information is already out there and do a Facebook Live on it. And that's probably fine. There's nothing really wrong with that. But I just want you to know that 99% of the material that I share with all of you is information that I get direct download. So this is these 7 types of implants that I'm going to share with you. These may or may not be different from maybe whatever other information is out there. I don't even know. Excuse me. So this is the information that I have. I think it was a couple months ago, I suddenly had this little download about implants, and that I was supposed to bring in information about the types of implants. And so that information came in over the course of about 6 weeks, and just gradually. It wasn't like an all of a sudden dump like some of the information that I get. This came in gradually, and then I wrote it all down and knew that it was time for us to do a Facebook Live about it. So that's how that works. So let's say hi to everybody. Susan Babcock says hello. Tana says hello from Independence, Missouri. And we have a whole bunch of people who are here who haven't said hi yet, but hello everybody. Sahela is joining us from Renton, Washington. Very good to see all of you, and I'm so glad that you're here live with us. So before we get into today's content, if you are new to me and my work, or even if you've been following me for a while, I want to just give you my quick blurb about how you can work with me more deeply if you'd like to. So if you're watching the replay somewhere on YouTube or wherever, you just know that if you're interested in joining our Facebook group, you totally can. It's a free Facebook group, and it's called Psychic Protection Sanctuary Support for Psychic Attack. So it's an informational group, and also a great place to be if you're having challenges and you just need to be in a place where you know that you're not going to be told that you're crazy, and that you can just get a bit of support. So that is our Facebook group. Excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat tonight, sorry about that. And then if you want to work with me more deeply, you can go to my website, which is psychicprotectionsanctuary.com, and there you can get there's a whole bunch of freebies on there. If you just look around, there's a bunch of free stuff, free content. I make it a point to put free content out into the universe monthly. That's really important to me. So there's freebies on there, and then there's also information about the one-on-one sessions with me, and what else? Oh, and my 12-month program, Spiritual Empowerment Academy. And so also One of the reasons why I'm doing this Facebook Live today, this particular topic, is because it matches perfectly with what we're covering in my Psychic Protection Mentorship Program and my Spiritual Empowerment Academy. Actually, both of those, there's going to be a little bit of crossover coming up. We're going to be doing some really big clearing. I'm going to be teaching all of you in my paid program how to, I'm not only going to be teaching you how, but we're going to be doing it. We're going to be clearing out etheric implants and all sorts of other negative spiritual interferences. So it's going to be super powerful. So this lesson that I'm going to teach you all today is super fascinating and informative, just as a standalone little class here. But in the paid program, we're actually going to go through a process of removing any of those non-beneficial aspects, and then rebuilding, reconstructing, and strengthening your entire light body. If you're like me, sorry, frog in the throat tonight, sorry guys. If you're like me and so many other people on the planet who have had a childhood or even an adulthood where there was major trauma, abuse, any number of things that may have caused damage to your energy field, you absolutely need to be applying certain techniques for repairing and strengthening your energy field, because if you're not, then it's going to be showing up in various areas of your life. So enough of that. Let's get into our lesson. And just another shout out to everybody who's here live. Thank you for joining live. And a shout out to those of you watching the replay on Facebook and those of you watching the replay on YouTube. And Isabella says, hi there, it's Melissa from Kansas City. Hello. And Amanda says, thank you for the ad. I'm loving catching up on your page. Well, I'm so glad that you're here. And my intent with the Facebook group is that whoever is the right fit is in the group. And if it's not the right fit, then they find the right place for them. So hopefully this is a great fit for everybody who's in here. So, so just an FYI. So this Facebook Live is happening right after my dinner break, and I always try to be really careful what I eat for dinner, because sometimes if I have anything that's spicy at all, and then I get onto my Facebook Live, for some reason I feel like I'm gonna cough and I'm clearing my throat all the time. And that's exactly what's happening. So if you're watching and you're like, oh my gosh, is she sick? Or is there something going on with her throat chakra or whatever? I mean, that could be possible. I literally just cleared my energy twice today, so I do it all the time. But that's what's going on. Is I just had dinner, and as soon as dinner was done, I was like, oh, you know what? Actually, I always try to avoid having anything with red pepper in it, and I wasn't even thinking. I put a bunch of black pepper on. I had some fresh tomatoes. Anyway, probably nothing that you need to know, but if I just start like coughing and acting like I can't breathe, that's that's something that happens. I try to watch what I eat right before the Facebook Live, so sorry guys. But if you've been following me for a while, you know that I just keep right on trucking. We just keep going. And the content is more, to me, my philosophy is sharing this information is more important than it needing to be perfect. So if you're somebody who wants like the perfect slick videos, then you're not going to get that from me. I'm so sorry, but you're just not. So you guys ready to learn about the 7 types of implants? Okay, so let's do it. You might want to grab a pen and a paper, because there's just a lot here. It's the kind of thing you might want to take notes on. So go grab a pen and paper, grab yourself something to drink, and settle in and relax. I don't know how long it's going to take us to go through these, maybe 20 minutes, possibly. Okay? So as always, I've got to peek at my notes to make sure that we don't miss anything. All right, so before we get into the 7 types of etheric implants, I want to give you just some basics about exactly what this is and what this isn't. So, if you've watched X-Files or followed any kind of like alien stuff, you've probably heard or seen information about like alien implants that are like these metal things or devices or whatever that are implanted into a person's body. I want to just clarify that that's actually not what I'm talking about in this video. And I actually don't have an opinion one way or another as to whether physical implants exist or not. I haven't done enough research personally to make that determination or to have an opinion one way or another. So I'm not talking about physical implants that are like a piece of metal or a chip or something like that are from aliens or whatever. So I'm not talking about that. I'm also not talking about like a medical implant. There are, I don't know if these are already in use, but like an implant, like an auricle implant that goes into your ear so that you're able to hear if you have hearing loss. I don't know if those are out yet, but I've just heard talk that those are a thing that are eventually going to be utilized within medicine. So that's also not what I'm talking about, because that's a physical implant that's used for beneficial uses. We are talking today about etheric implants. And etheric implants, when I use the word etheric, just the like simple way to describe it would be, like, think of it as being a spiritual implant. So it's non-physical, and it's on the spiritual realm. Okay, so this is an implant. It's an energetic implant. Okay, so it's something that could be in your aura, in one of your chakras, or in your physical body. So it's not a physical implant, but it's energetic, etheric, and it could be in your physical body. So it could be like in your a spiritual object in your brain, for example, or in one of your eyes, or in your heart, etc. So these are etheric implants that can be that may have been implanted anywhere in your energy body or in your physical body. The nearest thing that I could compare this to would be like energy cords. Energy cords are a really popular thing, I think, that are talked about in the spiritual world. If you go onto YouTube and you type in cord cutting guided meditation, there's like a zillion cord cutting meditations. So a lot of people are already aware of energy cords. An energy cord is like a tube or a hose that is connected from one person or being to another. And sometimes they can be beneficial, like a loving energy cord from parent to child. Sometimes they can be non-beneficial, where it's like codependent energy, or it's like manipulating energy happening through that cord, or energy vampire kind of dynamics, like the being that's connected via an energy cord is sucking energy from the person. So I think many of us have heard of energy cords. So just wanted to mention those, even though this video is not about energy cords. So etheric or energetic implants are similar to energy cords, except for, rather than there being a cord or a hose connecting one being to the other, this is an etheric object that has been placed into the physical body or into the energy field. Okay, so we're going to just assume that for the rest of this video that I'm talking about negative etheric implants. It is possible that there are positive implants out there, excuse me, that there are positive ones out there, And so I'm acknowledging that that can be possible, but if you become aware of any implants within your own being, I would just make the assumption most of the time they are negative. So don't be fooled by like a false light entity trying to tell you that this thing, whatever it is beneficial for you. Question everything. Okay? So Aria says, waving hello quietly. Hello. Hi. And you guys, all of you who are joining live, do go ahead and say hello and let us know where you are joining from. And I'm going to grab one of my, I wish I had my throat lozenges, but I will just grab one of these instead. Okay, let's see, what else have I left off? So, where are these from? Like, okay, so there are these things called etheric implants. Like, why do they exist and where do they come from? So, there's a lot of different answers to this. And so we're not going to really go into all of them in this video, but suffice it to say that etheric implants can come from either a person or a spiritual being or even an alien. Okay, an alien being like a non-earth being. Okay, so let's say that it's coming from a person. I've worked with clients where the client encountered a person who was taking part in some dark spiritual practices, and that person, for whatever reason, let's say, wanted to manipulate them or wanted to perform surveillance and track that person, or control the person or what have you. So rather than using an energy cord, they used an implant that would perhaps like activate, well, we're going to talk about the 7 different types of implants, but let's just give an example. That person, through their dark spiritual practices, perhaps would implant something into the person's brain to activate OCD, negative thought loops, to keep the person in a loop of suffering. Or perhaps this person really activating a psychic attack. That's what it is. It's a psychic attack, and a tool that this person is using for their dark energy work is to perhaps place an implant in the person's eye or somewhere else in the person's field to track or surveil the person. There's all sorts of different ways that someone who's doing unethical spiritual practices could, if they had the knowledge to, implant one of these into their target person. So that's how it would be done by a person. And then implants can also be implanted by a spiritual being. So let's say there's a dark spiritual being, really an entity like a human ghost really isn't going to have the knowledge base for the most part, unless they were like a dark magician when they were alive. But the average human ghost is not going to have the knowledge base to be able to impart an implant into someone. So when I talk about spiritual beings, I mean like, the really high up the hierarchy of the dark forces. So those who are working in support of any kind of dark agenda in the spirit realm, and there's like a zillion different types of entities that might be a part of that. And so they might impart an implant into someone. It could be done partway through their life, or it could be done at birth or before birth. Okay? So the person can be born with that implant. And actually, there's many who believe that every single person on the planet has many, many etheric implants that are not beneficial, that we're all kind of mucked up with all of this stuff. So if you do happen to find, like if you're meditating and you sense that there's something going on, Please don't be alarmed. There are ways to remove it, and also it's way more common. It's very uncommon for someone to not have a bunch of implants mucking up their energy. So that's just what it's like being on our planet today. So those are the ones that are from non-physical spiritual beings. And then there are actually implants that occur from alien beings. I don't use the term alien a lot in my videos. That's not really a main focus for my work. But, you know, the thing is what I've found in working in this field is that there really is not a clear line of distinction between what is a spiritual being and what is an alien. Because there are lots of different beings that are interdimensional, that are multidimensional, or that we might think of as spiritual, but maybe they're not of this planet. So it's really hard to define. But just know that we're not just talking about like a demon, like a demonic implant or something like that. We're talking about this whole gamut of different kinds of beings that might take part in implanting something into someone. Okay, so just remember that with these implants, they actually can be removed. Sometimes it can take some time, but that's actually why we are focusing on this in my upcoming psychic protection mentorship, is because these implants can really create all sorts of issues, whether it's emotional issues, psychiatric issues, illness, personal blocks, beliefs, OCD thought loops, like all sorts of stuff, money issues. Like there's all sorts of stuff that can be caused by these implants, and they can really create a lot of blockages in a person's life, a lot of obstacles and problems. So that's why it's a good thing to work on removing them. So let's get into our 7 types of implants. And before I do, let me just give you my website really quick again. If you want to go look at under the events tab, there's information about my programs. If you do feel like, oh my God, I really need some more support with this, then you can go to www.psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And if it doesn't resonate with you, that's no big deal. I put out this information just freely. I want to make sure that I'm just like paying it forward with the universe and giving out free information so that everyone has it. But I also am available to go deeper with you, and that's how we can do it. Okay, so also just a reminder in case you joined late, this information about these 7 types of implants, this is information that I've brought directly in. This is not regurgitated information from someone else's book or someone's YouTube channel or whatever. This is information that I've brought in directly through spending all the time that I spend out here connected with the earth, out at my little prairie house, lots and lots and lots and lots of time in quiet and meditation and getting downloads of information. This is also information that I've seen directly in working not only with clearing myself, but working with my clients. And these are the types of implants that I have seen with my clients as well. So these are in no particular order, no particular order of importance. They're all equal. So number 1. All right, so pardon me while I take a look at my notes. Number 1 is the emotional mental implant. So from here on out, I might just say implant instead of etheric implants, but it's assumed we're talking about spiritual / energetic implants. Emotional mental implant. So what does that mean? That is an implant that will activate things like depression, anxiety, various types of mental illness, OCD thought loops. I did a Facebook Live on OCD thought loops a few months back. OCD thought loops are, this is actually something that I've noticed that a few other teachers out there on the interwebs have been talking about, and I was really excited to see, oh, they're talking about the same thing, then we must be onto something. So you might see other information about OCD thought loops online. OCD thought loops are when either via an energy cord or an implant or by some other means, even like broadcast, being blasted with energy. That's a third way that OCD thought loops can occur. That it creates a negative loop where you're thinking a negative thought or feeling a negative belief over and over and over again. And it just keeps going. It's like obsessive compulsive. You just keep thinking it and thinking it. It's usually some kind of a negative thought about how terrible, about how crappy you are, or how terrible your life is, or how you should harm yourself or others. And it's usually very, very, very negative thoughts and beliefs that just keep looping, like they're playing on a cassette tape, like playing over and over again. Those can be implanted, those can be inserted via implant. And so when the implant is activated, then the OCD thought loops happen. Now, generally speaking, the OCD thought loop, the emotional mental implant, may tend to be located more in the region of the head, so inside the brain, or around the auric field of the head, or within the crown chakra or the brow chakra, but not necessarily. I mean, it could be implanted into the root chakra, for example, to activate OCD thought loops about being afraid, like regarding survival issues in your life. Okay, so the emotional mental, that can be implanted really anywhere. Okay, so as I'm going through this, if you have any questions, type. I want to answer your questions. And also remembering that there's usually about a 1 minute lag between when you enter your comment and then when I can see it. So type fast and send your question if you have it. So that's number one, the emotional mental implant. Number two is, I call it, rather than calling it a physical implant, which would be confusing, I call it impacting physical. So that means that this spiritual implant impacts your physical well-being. So it's a physical well-being implant. It can either cause or activate illness, pain, or disease. This is often actually really all of these, but especially I really think of number one and number two, the emotional mental and the impacting physical. These two are used a lot in order to take light workers down. So let's say there's someone who has, well, we all have important work to do on the planet. Okay, we all do. But let's say there's someone who has really important work to do, and there are many of us, many, who have really important missions to, create a better life here on Earth. But instead of being able to step fully into that work and really create that vision, really fulfill that mission, we're instead we've been implanted with an emotional mental implant that gets activated with anxiety and thoughts of despair and feelings of lack of self-worth and that sort of thing, so that we're just like crippled and we can't even do what we're supposed to come here to do. The same thing with the impacting physical one, that there are lots of people, have you noticed? There are a lot of light workers who have autoimmune illnesses and other debilitating illnesses, and there's a reason. There's actually many possible reasons. Every person is unique, but one possible reason that I believe is very common is that there are implants that are being activated to create illness, pain, and disease, one or all of those, in order to keep the person just trying to cope with, barely surviving in their body, so that they're not able to really fulfill their mission to the fullest. Okay, so number 3. Now it gets interesting, even more interesting than before. Number 3 is what I call a beacon implant. So imagine this is like, I'm trying to think, like if you were on a boat or something, and your boat got stranded, and then there's like this little light that you push that flashes, right, to let like the whatever other boats coming by know that there's an emergency happening, right? So it's a beacon, right? Well, this is a negative beacon, because this implant is a beacon to attract people into your life who are abusive or toxic or dysfunctional, or who are energy vampires, who are sociopaths, narcissists, people who are going to take you down. Okay, so that is another way, actually, that light workers are taken down, is that they are implanted with a beacon that just seems to attract all sorts of these kind of negative people. There are other reasons why someone might attract that sort of thing, including unresolved trauma that within them that needs to be healed. So that, we have to work on our own inner shadow and our own material as well. It's not all, it's not all implants, but implants are one reason why this happens. Also, we need to understand that, when I said that there's all these negative people, we're all like each one of us is the negative person sometimes. Sometimes we are the energy vampire. Sometimes we are the dysfunctional person or whatever, because we all have things to heal. But with this beacon implant, the person just like seems to attract these kind of people, and usually it's like one kind of person. It's either like abusers, or people who have addiction issues, or high drama people, or boundary violators, or psychic vampires. Like whatever it is, they have a beacon that just like attracts these kind of people like moths to the light. Okay. And that there's a reason why that person has an implant of this beacon. It's to keep them it's to keep them down. That's exactly what it is. It's to keep them down. So before we go on to the 4th one, let's read some comments. Susan says, how can one figure out if it's an implant or just maybe just how we are? Or are all of these etheric implants the cause of all of these issues? That's a really good question. So really, I tend to be moderate with many of my different belief systems, and I would not say that all of our issues are caused from implants. I don't think that would be a correct statement. I think it's a combination. I mean, I think that the reality is that it can be a lot of different things. Yes, I do agree with many others that every person on the planet has implants, unless you have spent many years removing them and removing them and removing them, because they come back after you remove them. So I do believe that everyone has this issue. But I also believe that we all have our own internal work, our own unresolved hurts, our own unresolved traumas, soul contract lessons that we came in here to learn. So it's not all implants. Now, how do you know if it's an implant or if it's something else? Well, that is, it's really up to developing your discernment and your psychic abilities, your intuitive abilities. And also you could work with a healer who is able to identify that. That's actually something that I do. I teach discernment and psychic development, and in one-on-one sessions I can identify that for you. That's also something that you can learn from me. I can teach you how to discern. There's some specific techniques that are really not that difficult that I teach you in my programs for how to check yourself, how to determine that. So yeah, so not a clear-cut answer there, Susan, but hopefully that does answer your question for you. Stephanie says, I wonder if I have a beacon. Stephanie, absolutely. You do have a beacon. You definitely do. Yeah. So, and a lot of people do. A lot of people do. There's, like I mentioned, there's a lot of light workers. I use that term to just indicate people who are here on the planet to do some really profound work. There's a lot of light workers that are targeted through their romantic relationships or friendships or other associations, and there's literally a beacon implant that just sends all of these people their way to just keep them down. Okay, so definitely, for sure. All right, we ready for number 4? By the way, I find this topic super fascinating. I hope you find it really interesting, and I hope that it doesn't freak you out too much. If you do feel freaked out at all, I just want to remind you that these can be removed. I want to just remind you again, these can be removed. Often it takes time because there are many layers, or at least my observation is that it can take some time to remove them and really rebuild your system, but it can be done, and you're in the right place to get support with this. Number 4 type of implant is the surveillance implant. And I actually have a 4A and a 4B. So there's the surveillance implant, and 4B is the tracking. So they're kind of similar things. Surveillance is where they're able to watch over or listen to what you do, what you say, what you think. So tracking your actions and your thoughts and your motives and your behaviors. And tracking is specifically tracking where you are, where you're located. So they're almost the same thing, surveillance and tracking. So this is the purpose here is less about manipulating you, although 99% of the time there are other implants as well occurring here. But the surveillance and tracking are less about manipulating and more about just gathering information so that you can be manipulated in a variety of other ways, whether it's other implants or other types of things that are happening. Okay, so that's surveillance and tracking implants. Number 5, you may or may not have heard of this one before. This is the energy drain implant. So when this is activated, all of a sudden, for no reason, you will just feel like all the energy drains out of you. Now, this is a little bit different than an energy vampire. With an energy vampire, you've just spent time, or you're in the middle of spending time with someone or engaging with someone, or you've just left their company and suddenly you feel really drained. That's a result of an energy exchange, whether it's through an energy cord or some other means. They have sucked your energy away. Okay, an energy drain implant is that there might not even be any other people around at all, or if there are other people around, there's no person who's causing the energy drain. So this is not caused from an energy vampire. This is something that's activated. Once it's activated, all the energy drains out of you all of a sudden. It could be that in that moment, you've just come across some very important information regarding your spiritual growth or your healing or your mission on the planet, or maybe doing something good in the world, or there's something good that's about to happen, and all of a sudden, whoosh, all your energy drains from you. And that is basically to, it's just to distract you. I mean, it's like if you can barely function because you're so exhausted, then how can you do what it is that you were trying to do, or discover what it was that you were just about to discover? The energy drain implant also, I've actually heard people talk about this in a little bit different way. One thing that I've heard people talk about is that, I've heard healers who do implant removals have said that sometimes when they start to talk to somebody about this work, the person will appear to fall asleep in front of them. Like they'll go from normal, wide awake, and then all of a sudden they're like they're clearly starting to nod off. That is a very visible example of the energy drain implant happening. Although it doesn't have to make you fall asleep, it can just make you feel very fatigued. Okay. Let's see. Let's go over some comments before we do. We're on number 5. We have 2 more after this. Let's see. Zahira says, yes, very interesting. Oh, I left one out. I missed a few. Aria says, looking forward to removal of implants. Frown face. Yes, indeed. And I think you've got a lot of spiritual and esoteric knowledge, so I think you are on your way to doing that. So it's definitely a journey, though, isn't it? Amanda says, I'm new to this topic. Thank you for sharing this information. Yes, you are welcome. A lot of, let's see, I just moved there we go. A lot of information out there about psychic protection that talks just primarily about spiritual things and entities and energy vampires. There's really not that much talk about implants. So that's why this topic is super important, because we need to. Okay, I'm back. For a second there, our Facebook Live was interrupted. Oh goodness. So we are back. Okay, and we do have some cloud cover here. It looks like it's going to rain. That might be why that happened. Zahira says, yes, very interesting. Susan says, I personally feel like my psychic abilities are attacked. I know I have the ability, but maybe I have OCD thought loops. I have OCD thought loops that say, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that. Or I'm not gifted enough, and so on and so forth. Yes, those would be OCD thought loops. And you've just brought to my attention that this list of 7 implants is definitely not exhaustive. There are, like you're talking about, you feel that your psychic abilities are under attack. There are there are phenomenon that I have not included in my list of 7 where a person's abilities can be blocked. That can be an implant, but a lot more times than not, it's more of what I would call an overlay. So it's like a film or like a little wall that's blocking, or like a plug. There's, in addition to implants, we have overlays, we have plugs, we have cords. There's all sorts of different phenomenon. So that is a thing that can happen as well, Susan, in addition to the OCD thought loops. So actually, with the OCD thought loops, one of the things is, one of the really powerful things that you can do is to just have awareness. And when you have awareness, these are just OCD thought loops, then they lose a lot of their power. So self-awareness is really important. Stephanie says, do beacons get placed in the same part of the body or in different parts for different people? So with all of these implants that we're going over, they can be placed anywhere. So I would not say that all beacon implants are placed in the solar plexus of everyone. That's not the case. It's going to be different for everyone based on what your makeup is, where your areas of weakness might be. And so let's just make up an example. So Stephanie, this doesn't necessarily apply to you, but let's just say this make-believe person might tend to attract romantic interests or sexual partners or life partners or spouses, boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever, who have these like dysfunctional kinds of issues. And the person has this implant, the implant perhaps is in their sacral chakra, which is the sexual chakra, which means that they're going to always attract those kinds of partners into their life. Or perhaps with a different person, if the issue is showing up differently, maybe it's implanted in their heart chakra. So anyone that they fall in love with is this. So they're going to attract love partners who are really messed up. Okay, so again, it's different for everybody, and it may be in a particular part of the body, or in the chakra system, or in the auric field. Okay, where are we? Energy drain implant. Okay, number 6. Number 6 and 7 are kind of similar. Number 6 is the mind wipe implant. And with this implant, what happens is that when you have had like any kind of aha or understanding, or let's say you go to a seminar and you learn some really potent information about things that would really help you to get more on track with your soul mission. Or let's say you go to a psychic reader who has some like really right on correct information, but by the time you get home, that mind wipe implant has been activated and you don't remember anything from the workshop. It's like, you know that you were there, but your mind cannot recall anything, or you can't remember anything from that psychic reading at all. That would be an example of the mind wipe. Okay, and the intent is that any information that could come to you that would help you to move past this level of control that you're under, it gets erased. Okay, it gets erased. That's the mind wipe. Number 7, the last on our list, is the distractor implant, and this has a similar effect. It's that as soon as you start to get on the right track, however that might be, let's say you're going to that seminar, or you're getting ready to embark on some new thing, or whatever it is, that all of a sudden you're distracted. So it's not that your mind is wiped. It's so with the seminar example, it's that you are so distracted you can't even pay attention at all. Okay, and so that's why you can't retain the information. Let's say you're going through your day and you encounter someone who has some important nugget of information for you to help you, and it's not that your mind has been wiped. It's that like you could not pay attention to them at all. You got distracted, and in fact, with the distractor implant, it's not just mental distraction. When the distractor implant goes off, then situations and people will also come in to distract you. You just start to read a book. You just start to open my book, Darkness Disguised as Light, and all of a sudden you get distracted. I've actually had people who later read my book and got a lot out of it and had one or more sessions with me to clear out some nasty stuff. But while they were under the influence of some really nasty psychic attack, they had like an implant, a distractor implant, so that whenever they would go to reach for my book, all of a sudden they would get distracted. Their kid would start yelling, or the phone would ring, or something, and like a year would go by and they still hadn't read the book. Okay, that's an example, but it could be any book or any information or whatever. Or every time you start to make some headway in your life, in your spiritual purpose, your partner gets really out of sorts and picks an argument with you. So that's kind of a combination of the distractor implant, and perhaps that the beacon implant attracted someone like that in the first place. Or maybe your partner is a really good person and they're not dysfunctional. They're a good influence in your life, but they are interfered with as a part of that distractor implant. They are like unconsciously guided to pick a fight with you, or to suddenly need something from you in order to distract you off of your mission, or off of whatever it is that you were focusing on. Okay, so just recapping these, and also let me know if you have any questions. Types of implants: etheric implants. We have the emotional mental implants. We have the impacting physical. We have the beacon implants, surveillance and tracking, energy drain implant, mind wipe implant, and distractor implant. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, but these are the ones that I see the most frequently, and the ones that I would refer to as implants. And again, there are other phenomenon like energy cords, there are overlays, there are blockages, there are plugs and things like that, but these are what I would call implants. If we were to imagine that they were physical, and again, they're not physical, these are energetic, these are etheric, but if they were physical, they might look like little pieces of metal, or even like computer chips, or sometimes they can be bigger. They can be really big, or they can be really small. They can look like a little blob of something, or they can look like technology. It really is different on a case-by-case basis. It depends on the type of implant, and it just depends on the person. So they do not look the same. Like if you are clairvoyant and you can see energy, they tend to look different depending on the circumstance. So like the emotional mental implant, I'm not going to say that it always looks like XYZ, because it doesn't. It's just different. And that's because it's on the etheric realm. It's energetic. So if we are seeing something, that's more of a representation of what it signifies. Does that make sense? So if we're seeing something in the etheric, if we're seeing an implant, a lot of times what we're seeing is a representation of what it signifies. So for example, if you see like a computer chip, that is signifying that it's programming. It's a programming. Like, so the emotional mental could look like a computer chip. So it's a program that's playing in your brain over and over and over again, giving you those OCD thought loops, or anxiety, or depression, or whatever. Okay. Let's see. Stephanie, make sure I didn't miss anybody. Stephanie says, I think I have the energy drain implant, possibly. Yeah, could be. Aria says, thanks, with a heart. You're welcome, my dear. And Zahira says, you just went out. Well, I hope I'm back. I hope you all can still see me. It looks like we're still live. I hope. Oh my gosh. Okay, good. It looks like I'm back. Yeah. So Amanda says, I can hear her. She was out for about 15 seconds. Yeah. So hopefully we didn't miss anything vital, but we are back. Thank goodness. Zahira says, I must have the distraction implant. Maybe. Yeah. Isabella says, I read it all. I read your book all in one sitting while crying. Well, I'm sorry that you were crying, but I hope that it was very cathartic. I know you've been through a lot, Isabella. Amanda says, mine is activated at business meetings, and then she's got like a laughing, crying emoji. Zahira says, the distractor doesn't want me to read your book. Wow. Oh, okay. So have you not read it yet, Zahira? Zahira, we've known each other for a while. Yeah. So would it be helpful to you if I bug you about it? I don't want to be annoying, but but if you have like someone holding you accountable, sometimes that can help. And for those of you who have trouble with the distractor implant, sometimes having a friend or a teacher or something or somebody like that to help hold you accountable, to like follow up with you to see, have you started doing that thing yet? Then that helps circumvent that implant. Stephanie says, can someone have all 7 implants? Absolutely. In fact, most people are riddled with many, many, many implants. Okay. Lots and lots of them. So Amanda says, would each psychic see someone's implant differently? Amanda, I think that could be quite possible. I have not, I haven't compared notes with various psychics who can see implants, but I have listened to some interviews, and I've noticed that some of the things that they talk about seeing look different than what I'm seeing, but I don't really worry about that because I think it's just like kind of symbolic, whatever we're seeing in the etheric. So I would think that some people might see something similar, and sometimes it might look different. And that doesn't mean that they don't exist. It means that I think people just, their brains interpret things differently as far as clairvoyant information. I hope that makes sense. Zahira says, once cleared, how soon do they come back? You guys have awesome questions. All right, so Zahira, once they are cleared, how do they come back, or how soon do they come back? That literally is on a case-by-case basis. Everybody's different. It depends on your whole energy system. It depends on the particular implants that you have removed. But I would describe the implant removal similar to how I describe removing entity attachments. And this is a description, this is an analogy that one of my past teachers shared with me, and I've shared this analogy a few times. Imagine that you have a bug infestation in your house, like God forbid that you have like a flea infestation or something. If you were to like wash everything once and do the bug bomb once, all of those bugs are going to come back. Well, you're going to kill the first stage of them, right? But then a whole bunch of bugs come back, the eggs hatch, and then it's worse than before. And I know that sounds really disgusting, but it's like the best analogy ever. And so, and then you have to like keep clearing yourself when you've removed any kind of entity attachments. It's similar with implants, that you might remove an implant and like 5 seconds later, that being that had implanted it comes through an interdimensional portal and puts it right back in, or puts a new one right back in. It could be like 5 seconds, or it could be like a day or a couple of days. So that's why it's important to learn how to remove these. And that's why we're going to be doing this in my program. And Zahira, you're in the Spiritual Empowerment Academy, so you will be learning this. And the way that we're going to go about it is in a very gentle way. We're not going to just like straight on be extracting implants, because that can create a lot of energetic detox where like there's complete chaos in your life, because these implants, like it's all this web of interconnection in your life. Like there's people that are in your life that are connecting in with your implants and vice versa, and the situations in your life. And so we don't want to like have everyone's life like completely fall apart. So my vision for moving forward with this in the paid program is that we are going about it very powerfully but very gently, where the idea is do no harm, right? We're not going to create chaos. We're going to really work on strengthening the light body and working on various different levels. So working on the auric field, strengthening and removing stuff, working on the physical body, working on our ancestral line, because a lot of implants can come from there, working on our personal timeline in this lifetime. There are issues that can be implanted that way. Also via our past lives. If you believe in past lives, there are issues that need to be cleared in that way as well. And the list goes on. So let's see, we have a few more comments and then I think we will be finishing up. Isabella is replying to Stephanie's comment, and she says, I know 100, I think it's 100% yes. It's because you are spot on. Aria says, so if accountability can overcome, does that mean we can clear our own implants by the bootstrap? I'm not sure if there were some autocorrect words that got messed up in there, or if those were the words that you meant. I'm not sure. If not, go ahead and retype. And you may have further down. If accountability can overcome, does that mean we can clear our own implants by the bootstrap? So if I understand your question, yes, you can clear your own implants. And I know you've been an energy healer and an intuitive for a long time, so it's likely you might already have the skills and the tools, Aria, to do that, or you might just need a little more information in order to do that. But you absolutely can. In fact, you know, I don't recommend that somebody depend on an energy healer to remove all of their implants, because they just come back. So it's a waste of your money. I mean, if you have a healer who can help, who you want to pay them for a session, I'm just speaking generally, Aria, to everybody. If you want to pay for a session, that can definitely help you get going in the right direction, but you'll also have to be able to know how to clear them yourself, which is why I'm not just doing it for everybody, but taking us all through the process together in my program. So that's how we're doing it there. But there are other ways of clearing your implants as well. So absolutely you can. And I hope I understood your question. If not, feel free to ask again. Okay? Sahela says, yes, reminders are great. Okay, so Sahela, I'm all about helping people stay accountable and do things. So today is Monday. So Sahela, do you feel like by tomorrow that you can spend at least 10 minutes reading the book? Can you pick it up and read it for 10 minutes. Can you make that commitment? Okay. So I'm just being a good friend. It doesn't matter that it could be my book or some other book, but it's my book that you're wanting to read. So if I could help you to accomplish that so you don't let those distractor implants run the show for you. So let me know, yes, if you can commit to that, to read a minimum of 10 minutes by tomorrow, by Tuesday, and so that you can get started on that. Amanda says, I'm excited to hear about what you'll be doing in the program. Yes, I'm really excited too. I feel excited and I feel really at peace too. It's this interesting combination of feelings. Yeah. I'm actually going out of town in about 10 days on a personal and work and spiritual trek. And so I'll be away for a little over a week, and part of my intent is to really bring in even more clarity of exactly what we're doing and exactly what it's going to look like. I already have, a good picture of it, but I intend to get even more clarity about it. I'm going on a road trip. I'm going to hit the road and drive some interesting places. Susan says, I struggle with anxiety and overwhelming feelings when I hear this stuff. Like, OMG, I will never learn all of this. So, yeah, there's a lot to learn, Susan. There really is. I get it. And it's true. There's a lot to learn. I would just say, take it one step at a time. Like, just learn what you can. Join these Facebook Lives. Go on to my YouTube channel, and which is Psychic Protection Sanctuary YouTube channel, and listen to those while you're doing stuff, and just get educated little bit by little bit. There's always going to be more to learn, but you're in the right place. You're in a safe place, and take a deep breath. I think breathing is really helpful for you. Well, all of us need to breathe, right? But you know what I mean. Like, taking 3 slow, deep breaths for you, I think, is like phenomenal. Like, that is a really important way for you to get out of that overwhelm. Okay. Yeah. Aria, you mentioned that accountability could help your student who had not yet read your book. So when I mentioned accountability, I was just talking about accountability and following through on your goals. So whether it's my book or whatever you keep getting distracted from, then if you have a friend who can help you stay accountable, then that's going to help keep you from being distracted. So having a friend, a buddy, a teacher or a mentor or somebody who can follow up with you and say, hey, did you do that thing? That's going to help, whether it's my book or anything else that you're getting distracted from. Aria says, agree about wasting money on healer removals. Yeah, I mean, I do energy balancing sessions. I charge for them. So I make money off of that. But being a person of integrity, I don't recommend that people just like flush their money down the toilet. There are times when there's someone who's so riddled with, attachments and other issues, implants. There's just so much going on that they really are not even in a position for self-help, and they're just so overcome and so overwhelmed. So a session can help get a person on some better footing. And then they need to learn how to do some self-care, some self-help. But there's a lot of people out there who think that they can go have one energy clearing or one implant removal, and that fixes it forever, and it really doesn't. And then there are healers out there who will just have you coming back and back and back every week, spending thousands and thousands of dollars. And I think that really establishes more of a codependent type of relationship, which is really not healthy. It's not good at all. So the better way is, yes, it's okay to receive some support to help you get your footing, but then it's also important to learn how to do these things yourself. Yes, yes, yes. I have this feeling, Aria, I want to give you like a virtual high five. Like I just had this feeling right after I got done with that sentence, like this feeling of total agreement with each other. Completely. Awesome. Zahira says, yes. Okay, so Zahira, I'll follow up with you. Actually, you follow up with me tomorrow. Send me a message and let me know how far you got in the book. And again, it's not just that it's my book, it's that I'm just wanting to support you and help you to not be distracted. Susan says, thanks, Maya. Yes, I do. Breathing. Aria says, so that comment on accountability made me think about accountability being a way to heal the implants. Yeah, okay. So I feel like that's, I would say kind of no. It's like kind of yes and kind of no. It's like not the whole answer. It's not just about accountability, because these are outside interferences. So even if you are, really trying to be accountable for everything in your life, like every aspect of your life, there are these outside interferences, these outside influences that you did not agree to. You're not accountable for that, okay? Many of these implants you did not agree to, or you were tricked into making agreements to receive them. Okay, so I'm really glad that you asked your question because this is really important for everybody to understand. There's a common belief in spiritual circles that we need to take responsibility for everything in our lives, and I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Some of that is true, but I don't agree with all of it. But as far as implants and these negative spiritual interferences, most of the time we are not accountable for that. But I will say, Aria, that when we work on our own material, our own unhealed wounds, our own past traumas, our own shadow, our inner shadow, all of that definitely helps us overall in our healing journey. But it doesn't just magically cause implants to go away. I hope that sort of helped answer your question. So hopefully. Aria says, Maya, this is a great class. So grateful. High five. Oh, that's awesome. I don't know if you typed that before or after I got this very strong feeling of high five when I mentioned it earlier. That's why I mentioned it, because it was like so compelling, like high five energy. Anyway, I don't know if you typed your comment after I said that or before, but Zahira is giving a thumbs up. Isabella says, my will is so strong. This evil that follows me had to steal my car with everything I own in it. Yeah, so that is an example of what I call a secondary psychic attack, where the people who stole your car were guided to do so, whether consciously or like unconsciously, like automatons. They were just guided. Oh, let's go to this car. Let's do this. Hey, let's go do this. And the overall agenda of the dark forces was to take you down. And luckily, you are stubborn in a good way, like I am. Stubborn, and you won't let all of that take you down, and you are managing, and you're rebuilding. So that's good. Aria says, I wonder if Tony Robbins has any implants. I typed the high five after. Okay, all right, gotcha. Yeah, so I'm going to just choose to not comment on the Tony Robbins issue specifically, because we're actually almost out of time. I'm teaching a class here in about 10 or 15 minutes online in my paid program. But let me just step back and just say generally that even world-renowned spiritual teachers can definitely, for sure, have various spiritual issues that they're not aware of or they are aware of, including implants, including entity interference, including interference from the dark forces, as well as their own inner stuff that has not yet been healed. So we need to remember that, just speaking generally to everybody, we need to remember that when we're encountering, like, even the world-renowned teachers, their energy is not, just because they're popular doesn't mean that their energy is necessarily pristine. They might have some important knowledge to share, but they also might have some issues that they're really needing to heal. So that's, I'll just answer Arya's question more generally speaking there. But we can always take it to a private conversation later, Arya. I'd be happy to. Isabella says, I'm still here. I don't give up. Yes. Stephanie says, I've really enjoyed this class. It's interesting that as soon as we started talking about the beacon implant, I have been nauseous. Yes, so I'm sorry that you're feeling nauseous. And here's a good example, Stephanie and everybody, that this is why I'm taking a very, very gentle and very holistic approach to our light body clearing practice that we're going to be doing in the Spiritual Empowerment Academy and the Psychic Protection Mentorship, actually both. There's going to be some melding of those groups. And this is why we take such a gentle approach, because even just developing awareness of it can start to loosen them and kind of activate them a bit. So do some self-care. There's some really basic things that you can do, Stephanie and everybody. So 3 slow deep breaths. That's always helpful. Drink a glass of water or a cup of tea. Rest and relax. Lie down for 15 minutes or longer, and just place your hands wherever you feel the discomfort, and send yourself some energy. Zahira says, love this class as your classes. You rock, Maya. Yeah, well, you all rock. I love you guys. I would love to support any of you who feel like you want to take the next step in, removing some of these negative interferences. And so if you're wanting to do that, then go to my website, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And under the events tab, there's actually 2 groups. Just pick whichever one you feel most guided to, the Spiritual Empowerment Academy or Psychic Protection Mentorship. Psychic Protection Mentorship, we get into like even more, like it's pretty heavy duty psychic protection, spiritual warfare stuff. Spiritual Empowerment Academy is also powerful, but just like a little bit lighter. Not so much intensity of the topics. So just reach for whichever one you feel guided to. And if you're watching this replay later and one of those has disappeared off the menu, that means we're no longer enrolling for it, for that program. But click on whatever resonates, and then the next step is to fill out the online application. And I actually don't let just anybody into the programs. We want to make sure that it's a good fit for you and that you're a good fit for the program so that you can get the most out of it. And so the next thing would be to fill out the online application, and then after that, then we set up an online video interview, which allows us the opportunity to see if it's a good fit and then decide if we're going to move forward. So it's a very empowered process. If you feel the nudge, go on over there and check it out, psychicprotectionsanctuary.com. And then also, as we wrap this up tonight, I want to remind you that in our Facebook group, we're actually having a bonus Facebook Live tomorrow night. So tonight, it's Monday. Tomorrow night, Tuesday night at 6 p.m. Central, we're going to have another Facebook Live. And I'm going to talk about soul contracts and negative spiritual interference on your soul contracts. I haven't heard anyone else talk about this. This is something that I've discovered in my own life and in my own observations, and I want to share it with all of you. So I hope that you can join us live tomorrow as well. As always, I'm sending you all my love, and I'm gonna jump off and go get ready for my Spiritual Empowerment Academy online class, because that's going to be super fun tonight too. See you all later, and sending you all my love. Bye.